Most of our work that's non-CDW, technicians do have to contact somebody else. They have to call into somebody else's help desk. Okay, so there you would mark that and identify who to contact in there.
Do you have to contact someone else's help desk? For?
So like for Home Depot, we had to call the Home Depot help desk or the NCR rollout help desk to let them know this asset is now on the network so they could activate it.
Okay.
Okay, otherwise the system wouldn't work. Okay, deliverables required, yes or no? So almost everything we do has some sort of deliverable. A deliverable means something we have to send back to the customer to verify completion of work. Okay, a signed document, a picture, a sign-off sheet, serial numbers, asset tags, something, right? Whatever we have to supply back to them. Okay, again, if we say yes there, but in the SOW it doesn't say anything about the deliverable, that's a change order. Okay. All right, it's going to ask you for a location list, obviously there. All right, then the questions around supplies, anything we need to bring with us. Hey, tech needs to bring tape and boxes, right? Whatever they need to provide, we need to know about. Okay? If we're shipping anything, we gotta know how we're shipping it, who's shipping it, and where's it getting shipped to.
So for the supplies, it's supplies outside of tools,
Right, that would be
up above.
non-basic tools.
Right.
Yeah. All right, this call management section is gonna be things you won't necessarily ask, okay? Is there a lead PM, number of PMs needed, number of dispatchers needed, lead dispatcher, number of QA reps needed, which are our confirmed reps, okay? Confirmation, they are coordinators, I should say, project coordinators.
There's quality assurance.
Yeah, QA, yeah. PMO coverage shift, so a lot of our projects run at night, okay, some of our projects run at night, I should say. We need a PMO at night, and we gotta put that in here, okay? Task item numbers to use, so we'll talk about those when we get into our system of record. But every service event that you have, you add a task to, and the task determines how much we bill. Okay, so contracts, when they get an SOW, a sales to ops over in an SOW, they bill tasks. They tie those tasks to the customer. When you open a service call, you tie it to the customer and you add those tasks. That's how the call goes to bill. Okay, we'll look more specifically into it when we get into the work, but that's what you're doing there. Schedule conference calls with partner and end user. So that is something you're gonna ask. Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, how often, do we need to have a regular check-in call to judge progress? Okay? I would say on a 2-location project, no, you don't need one. If you got 10 locations, yeah, you probably should have one. Okay, that's just good general housekeeping. Okay? You need to identify with them any customizations that have to appear on an invoice. Hey, I need to have the site number on every invoice. Hey, I need to have the POC's name on every invoice, right? Whatever customizations they need, we gotta define that here. Okay? All right, once you've done that, you're gonna go ahead through this risk assessment checklist. Okay, this risk assessment grid, I should say.
Can I back up a little bit?
Yep.
At what point would we end the call with the end user if we're on this conference call for a CDW and allow the end user to still remain on that conference call to ask the questions of items that need to be displayed on customer invoice?
You could ask that question to the CDW guy.
While the end user is still on the phone?
Yeah, because you're not gonna be talking about rates, you're just gonna be
Okay.
talking about the form of your invoice, so
Okay.
that's not a big deal. And it would probably help him if the end user needs something on his invoice special, then CDW is probably gonna need it from us, right? So it's,
Okay.
so it's probably good to have that conversation with him on that phone, and then that's where you end the call. That's
But
it.
this is not new to them either, right? This is what you guys have been doing already.
Oh, but it's gonna be new to them, because remember, there's like 3,000 guys at CDW that are selling this. So we
Okay.
haven't done service to all 3,000, right?
Okay.
So it's very likely that it's new to them.
Okay.
Right. All right, so that's where you end the call, right? End the conference call. Then you would go ahead and do this risk assessment. Okay? So you go through these questions: project classification, days till start, number of locations, number of dispatches per day, after-hours delivery, cabling needed, tech pay rates per site, Barrister to provide parts, swivel seat, deliverables, tech training, tech skill, and tech time, right? And you judge low, medium, or high on each one. Okay? Based on that, you come out with a scale value. Okay? It's just a little chart. All it does is gives us a decent idea of, hey, is this gonna be a hard one, or is this an easy one? It's not an absolute science, it's just a guide, just an idea to help us determine how many people we really need assigned to it, right? That's what it's gonna help you with. You come back to me with this and you tell me, hey, Jerry, boy, this thing on the risk scale is a 2.2, right, or a 1.7. I'm gonna say, oh boy, I gotta make sure I stay with you on this one every day, because that's high risk, right? There's a lot of complications to it, right? But as you come back to me and tell me on the risk scale that's at 0.3, that, you got that. Right, you can run that, there's no risk there, very simple. Make sense?
Yeah. I'm trying to foresee, are all of these things in a file of where that project, or all the projects, and I know I'm probably jumping ahead, if you
Yep.
wanna tell me just to wait, I'm perfectly fine with that. But are all these projects in, like, say, for instance, a file where you can just click on that file, open it up on the computer, and you can see, okay, this is where the SOW is, this is where the project overview is, this is where the PO is, everything is in a specific file where you just open it, and that's where you can access all the information that's relating to the specific project?
You will do that for each one of your projects.
Okay.
There's not a central repository for that information.
Okay,
Okay, so you would do that for your own projects.
okay,
Okay, you would wanna go ahead and put all this information together and make sure it's all set, so that way you have it clean and organized.
in one file. Yeah, cause that was,
Makes
to
life 10
happen.
times easier.
Yeah, and, yeah, just to be able to even attach the file and send it to someone else that may need it.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep. All right, implementation checklist. Okay, so then after that kickoff call, now these are the things you gotta do to run service. Okay? All right, you wanted to do your kickoff call, right? You wanna do, customer expectations compared to SOW S2O, sales to ops, okay? So you wanna compare what happened on your kickoff call, what happened on the SOW, what happened in the sales to ops, where are my differences? Where are my challenges, where are my changes?
and that'll determine whether or not the needs to be changed or whatever.
Correct, your change
Okay.
orders, okay? Scope creep identified, so you'll hear the term scope creep. Scope creep means change order. Scope creep is what happens to the scope when changes happen. All right, next is top notes updated. All right, so we have all the information that you have, right? Your scope, your steps that you have to go do, you're gonna put into our call management tool, so that way it always gets sent to the technician. And on the first box, right, the first note of every service call is gonna be the scope of work. So that way, very easily, very simply, everybody can see what work needs to be done. Okay, that's where the scope goes. All right, when you hear top notes, that's what they mean, opening notes. first call, first note you open, okay? You wanna make sure you clearly explain the scope of the project. You wanna make sure your escalation path is clearly outlined. You wanna make sure your item numbers and rules of call management are clearly outlined. Okay, that's some of the stuff you talked about in the earlier checklist, okay? Task numbers, all that kind of stuff. All right, you wanna update your dispatch notes. Okay, so the second note you're gonna create in your call management tool is a dispatch note. Okay, the dispatch note, you gotta make sure you outline your scope of work, what tools are required, what escalation contacts they have, and what their deliverables are. So you gotta make sure you clearly outline to them. They're only gonna know what you tell them, right, in that documentation, okay? So it's very important that you make sure you outline any deliverables you need, any requirements you need, anything you're expecting for them to do, make sure it's outlined right there in your dispatch note.
And this is going to the person that dispatches, or this is going to the tech itself?
Both. So it's going to the person who dispatches it, and they use it to dispatch the technician, and then once they dispatch, they send it to the technician.
Okay.
Okay? All right, we have a function called AutoD, okay? What AutoD is auto assignment. Auto assignment, basically what it does is instead of you as a dispatcher calling me as a technician to assign the call, the system will email me and say, hey, there's a call out there available, go get it. And I go log in and get it
As a technician?
as a technician
Oh, so they can always be looking for work? Oh, wow.
in the systems, okay? Parts provision, so if there's any parts that we need to manage and get or anything like that, those are provisioned. Tech deliverables linked for distribution. All right, so any deliverable document that you need a technician to fill out, you have to attach it to the service call.
Such as?
A sign-off sheet, such as a inventory checklist, such as scope of work, right? You can do a scope of work as a deliverable, right?
Okay.
You have to attach that to the service call, so that way when the call gets assigned and dispatched to an engineer, those deliverables go to that engineer.
Attachments, pretty much,
Yeah,
that they
you
need.
got it. Yeah.
Okay.
Attachments to anything. Yeah. All right, tech manuals linked for distribution. All right, the second, we're gonna go through an install guide, but basically, any install guides, any very specific, technical instructions of what has to be done should be linked to the call and sent over. Okay? Item numbers created, that's your task numbers, you're fine with that.
Okay, so this, hold on, so this implementation checklist needs to be created, what, prior to the job starting?
Oh, yeah.
So what if, only because I overheard something that you're dealing with, what if the manuals are not, and this is the manual that he needs, as such as you were saying earlier about go forward, press
Yeah.
this button, enter the screw. What if those manuals are still out in, BFE and it still hasn't been done and it's not supposed to be, because this was something that someone was talking about earlier, right? So at that point, do we halt on the situation? Or do they move forward thinking that, oh, okay, well, this is gonna get done, then end up being screwed later because you don't have those things and you're due to have a tech go out within 24 hours?
Yes, I would tell you our standard operating procedure is you halt.
Okay,
Okay, that's standard operating procedure. However, for this specific project, we got approval to move forward, dispatching the engineers, getting
Okay.
everything scheduled and getting ready, knowing that the checklist, the install guide was coming, right? And what we were gonna do was launch the install guide to all the technicians in one email, then call through them and have 3 to 5 business days to be able to call through them, make sure they got it, make sure they read it, all that kind of stuff, okay?
so who's responsible, because I don't know, like, the situation
Yeah.
I just heard of that, something like that similar happening. So who's responsible for getting us the tech manuals?
Depends. So sometimes it's us, sometimes it's them being the customer.
Okay,
It depends. But that would be something you would determine in your kickoff.
right, and that should seem like would be highly, highly important.
Very important. Very
Okay.
important. Yeah, very important.
Okay,
Okay? All right. Process needs reviewed with stakeholders. Okay, tech management, logistics, tech support, accounting. Okay? So when you talk about gathering your resources and kind of huddling with them and getting them to know what they gotta go do, that's this step right here. You're gonna grab all your internal resources, in terms of internal your PMO, and then any resources you need outside of PMO, maybe even accounting, right?
Process needs review the stakeholders,
Yep.
so that's the barrister, pretty much, barrister.
Yep. Groups. Hey, dispatch, here's what you need to know. Hey, coordinator, here's what you need to know. Hey, accounting, here's what you need to know. Okay, guys, everybody have any questions? Okay?
And is it pretty much as far as, does everybody operate pretty much like they're very open, as far as talking to each other? Where the dispatch can go, oh my gosh, so this just happened, and da-da-da. Or is there pretty much good, open
Yeah,
communication
except for
in
the
that?
commercial CRSs, they're all mean.
We're not all mean, we're all taught to be mean.
And when you talk to them, they bite your fingers off. But everybody else, no. The PMO team is really, the CRS team is very, or let me say the commercial delivery time team is very assembly line. There's a call center, there's a dispatch team, there's a tech support team, there's a CRS team. They live inside their own teams, and they probably communicate very well inside their own teams. When they have to go outside of their own teams, probably gets a little bit difficult.
Oh, so
okay?
there's gonna be times when they're gonna be coming over to our side.
No, but no, remember, they are a completely different side of the world, and our world and their world never meet,
Okay,
okay? In our side of the world, it's a group.
right.
Everybody works as a big group.
I'm very
right?
jealous of that, by the way.
Everybody works as a big team, everybody works as a big family.
Okay.
We can't always do that though.
We can't do that at all,
No.
but I am very jealous of that model.
We had that before. Did that?
Okay. You're gonna make sure you got your swivel seat access obtained and trained, okay? Know how to use that customer system.
What is that swivel seat, please?
Swivel seat is the customer system, so if there's another system, you have to update.
Customer system, meaning customer database,
Right,
customer,
Exactly.
okay.
There's some database that they use that we're responsible for updating.
And are we, when do we get trained in that?
That would be on this checklist.
Okay.
Training completed.
Okay, so they, so in the past, can you give me an example of how we have been trained in their database?
Yeah, they pull it up and give us a login. They pull it up, give us a login, and we go ahead and walk through it together, and they tell us what we need to do.
We remote together?
Yeah, and I'm gonna show you one later on today.
Okay.
Okay? Risk management completed by implementation manager, which really is you here, and then risk mitigation approved by PMO, which is gonna be me. Okay? That's it. You've done your checklist.
Wow.
Okay?
Really, I mean,
It's
I want to
relatively-
take care of it.
For most of your projects, it should be pretty straightforward. For 99% of what you do, it's a very quick process. 1%,
It's
very
open and
detailed.
closed, it's white, it's black and white.
Yes.
There really is no gray,
Yes, yes.
and that is very good for
It's a
my,
big
for
piece
my
of it.
brain.
It's gotta be black or white. We either do it or we don't do it. There is no we maybe do it.
right,
I can't do maybe.
yeah,
It's Karate Kid. Left of the road, right,
yeah.
middle of the road, switch like right.
Perfect. Can, I gotta go bathroom really bad.
Think you wanna take a break right now?
Please?
Right now?
I
Yeah,
I-
wait,
I-
Right now?
Yeah,
I
make
said
her
go
wait
bathroom
10
really
minutes.
bad. I
Make
just
her wait
I'll
10
come
minutes.
right back.
It's
Make her
2:30.
wait
Go for break.
2:23.
2:30. 2:25. Yeah, come back at 2:35.
I hope I'm not asking too many questions, stalling
No, no, no.
everybody.
You're not, you're the only one asking questions.
Can't
but
learn
not
if
too
you don't
many.
ask questions. It's the only way to learn.
You want cookies?
What, yeah?
There's cookies, Candace.
I know, I read that and I was like, I'm waiting.
Oh,
Have to
you know,
give me
like the
book.
trays is like completely clean now except for like one.
Yeah, I know. So I was like, damn, I wish you'd stop talking.
For outside?
Yes,
I'm coming outside.
you should, let's go, we're vamping up in here.
Oh, wait, what?
We're going outside.
Wait, what? Was I not invited?
You can come outside.
I'm coming outside my phone.
sure it's.
People with these bad cookies in Starbucks. And I'm
I'm
dying.
sure it's worse than some places, and I can promise you it's not nearly as bad as others.
Really?
I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, I feel like,
And-
I like it, I think, I just don't want, I don't want my curiosity and questions for someone to look at me and go, oh, she's not ready to come in. I'm curious, I have to, you know what I mean? 'Cause I don't ever wanna be construed like that, but I really want to know how to do my job and the best way to do it.
And I mean, you have the people.
And I'm the last one, like, I'm not into people talking shit or anything like that at all. I'm the last one to get involved in any kind of conversation like that because, like,
I probably should have mentioned is that the person who left me high and dry is. So,
and they're still okay with her and everything. How long should they here for?
I'm guessing she was here longer. I don't really know. And anybody would tell you that the people that were great. I think you were overwhelmed and you didn't shout help loud enough or soon enough. And it just snowballed to the point where he was. I have no idea. But I wasn't here, so. Oh, well.
I'm just curious have you seen people come in as administrative PM?
Like I said, I've only been back from it. What about out when you were here before? I worked in Covington, I didn't work in this office. They had another office in Covington. And I did training for CRS, which is what, they do. Well, Candace is the manager, but I did training for that. And then I basically was on the floor for a week and they threw me into what was then called like escalations. So basically, any ticket that didn't go right and the partner escalated it came to me. And I had to baby it through until everything was resolved. So, in all honesty, I have very little knowledge of projects whatsoever. This is my trial by fire, for lack of a better way to do it. I mean, I'm learning because projects and, like he says, projects and commercial is two different worlds.
I think I'm really kind of glad that I didn't know anything about any of that. Because it seems like for me, I think that it would be kind of difficult because it seems like over there's maybe more of a gray line.
I want a bottle of water, but I'd have to go next door because they don't put it in the drink machine.
Of a gray line, it's all still pretty black and white as far as, but it's also where the jobs are.
You can't.
Tiana,
Yes,
when you say
Why?
y'all's jobs are a little bit more defined than like in projects, like you do
What?
what you do, Tag does what Tag does, and you really don't overlap ever, right?
Right. I mean, we've started to sort of,
Overlap.
yeah, because like right now, Phil, we do have the ability to dispatch
Right,
calls. Do we have time? No.
right.
So that's one thing. And then like with projects, it's just different with like